There is no Thursday night football in the Canadian Football League tonight. That's because your televisions will be graced by the Oakland Raiders and the Green Bay Packers from IG Field in Winnipeg. And I opened the show saying this, and I'll say it again. I am jealous of you, Winnipeg. There's a lot of things about your town that I like. This has jumped to number one in the pack. This NFL game tonight. I'm wishing I was there. Now, I am racing right after the show today to the airport, flying to Moncton, and today's already a win. Because I've convinced my wife not to check a bag for the second time in our traveling history.
Wow.
We're all carry on.
That's
Bring on
huge.
in Donnie Hewitt. That is a win, Don.
I can't believe that you did that. You talked to your wife?
Me either.
That is the story of the day.
I know. It's a win. Guys, my wife's not checking a bag.
Unbelievable.
And by the way, we are golfing tomorrow in the CFL Alumni Association golf tournament, which is sold out in Moncton in advance of Touchdown Atlantic. And we didn't know whether we were golfing or we weren't golfing. And we just got the word from Leo Ezrins, the executive director of the Alumni Association, that we are golfing. So we're not even taking our clubs. We're going to be using rental sets. So
Memorial Cup,
Yes,
forget
sir.
the year. It's all a blur. I went it about 10 years in a row. But the year that it was in Moncton, about 10 years
You
ago.
went to that?
Oh. And I got to tell you, people have always said to me, the Maritimes and how beautiful it is. And it's, okay. They're not kidding.
It is great.
I had a day off where there was nothing going on in Labardius and Cosentino and all those guys were working. Well, I didn't feel like being at the rink that day, watching practices. So I rented a car, Rod, and I just drove. I drove for about 6 or 7 hours. So the guy at the hotel, he's got the map and he's take this drive. It's a long drive.
This is before GPS is what you're telling me.
Before GPS. I didn't even know where I was going. I said, where can I go to kind of get a sense of he says he mapped out this, Bay of Fundy, you're going to want to stop here and all. And I went for the whole day. It was one of the greatest days. I'm telling you, it is so beautiful. You're going to be blown away. Have you been?
Yeah, I have,
Oh,
but
you
she
have?
hasn't. Yeah.
She's going to love it.
Well, and by
It's
the
like
way,
Waskesiu. The whole area is like
it's beautiful. That's what I told her. And she actually wants to rent a car and drive around, but we have a child living there, so they kind of want to show us around, her and her boyfriend, whatever. We're getting out there. It's just going to be fun. But this reminds me, people are saying, are Moncton and Halifax in the same province? What's with Touchdown Atlantic? As I bring you in, Don Hewitt, one thing I'm hearing from across the CFL is Touchdown Atlantic has not been particularly well publicized. They're not even talking about it really on TSN.
Well, there's a lot of speculation that the football team in the Halifax, Dartmouth area is toast.
Not looking
there's,
good.
There's a lot of rumors that it's pretty much done.
What are you hearing?
It's not going to happen. What I've heard is that it's not going to happen, that it's looking very, very dicey, if not done. So that's very discouraging because it would have been one of the huge move that the CFL needs to make. And let's hope that's wrong. But yeah, I don't see that there's too much commitment from the local governments in the Halifax Dartmouth area to make this work. They had a boondoggle civic center that cost taxpayers $500 million or some crazy thing, and there's just no political appetite to build a decent stadium. They can't find anybody with big bucks to build a decent stadium. And right now that's toast. They're looking for owners in Vancouver and Montreal. This is a low peak in the CFL. There's no question about it. And we're sitting here just hoping it all gets rectified. And you're going to be seeing the commissioner. So he's a busy man, at the very least, a very busy man. And the CFL's done a great job of keeping bad news out of the headlines.
Haven't they?
The best I've ever seen, keeping bad news out of the news.
Jeff Fairholm writing in, by the way, and says, Rod, get in my group for golf. I'm a ringer. I know you are, Fairway, but I will be the anchor in your group of this. But we'll see when we get out there and who Leo's got. My wife's a scratch golfer, as you guys know, so she's the one that you want in her group, not me. But Donnie, and we'll pass it over to Kelly, too. He and I have already talked about this. NFL tonight in Winnipeg. I'm jealous. Raiders, Packers. Would you like to be there? What's your take on the game tonight? No?
If it was in Regina, I certainly would have been there. But to drive to Winnipeg for a
No,
preseason
not that.
game, I'm not.
Are you interested
totally
in it?
Mildly of no. I just the preseason. Aaron Rodgers may or may not play. I just I can't last 5 minutes watching an NFL preseason game, so I'd have to say not really that interested. No.
Are you going to be watching, Rems?
Oh, I'll be PVRing because we're coaching. I'm coaching the Mustangs tonight. Getting ready 2-0, Rod. We're kicking ass.
Good for you.
But
One week at a time.
But I'm good. That's right. Yeah, that's the speech tonight. There's one game at a time, fellas, and they're all, yeah. But no. But getting back to the game, I am very interested in it. I wish the game was here, but again, we don't need to keep, or I don't need to keep harping on it. It's not a huge event. Okay, it's a fun event, and I wish that it was in Regina, but it's not something that's kept me up at night, that's for sure. But to say I'm not curious, no, I am, and I'll have my PVR, raring to go. So when I get back from practice, the first thing I'm going to do is go watch that game. But the only thing that keeps me from being really excited about it is, to Don's point, at the end of the day, it's still a preseason game. And I find whether it's CFL, whether it's NFL, there's only a certain level that I'm going to ever get to when it comes to preseason football. First of all, I hate to say it, but the football is generally not very good. And the second thing is when you only see the guys that you're going to be tuning in to see on Sunday, and they're only going to play, a quarter or two. Now, generally in week 3, though, the good news is they generally play more. It's like the dress rehearsal.
Although there's some teams not playing any veterans.
I know, and that's changing. I'm noticing that psychology that they used to have, the starters would play the first half. Sometimes you don't even get that. Sometimes it's a quarter. But I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. Here's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to see how the game translates on television.
Well, I don't think it'll translate that good because the stadium's going to be 50% empty or 50% full, depending on how you look at it.
And how they maneuver their way through trying to, make that exciting.
It's interesting. I was watching KTLA Los Angeles News for some reason last night, and they were pumping up this game from Winnipeg, Canada.
I know. And that's what disappoints me, because I would have liked to have seen them talking about Regina, Canada. So I'm disappointed that it's... Well, I was coming home from Emma Lake the other day, and I punched in Regina just to see how long it would take, and it says to Regina, Saskatchewan. I'm like, GPS can't even get it right. But anyways, done. Riders, Red Blacks, Saturday, nothing more than a speed bump for Canada's team, correct? On their way to a 5th consecutive victory?
Can't disagree more that it's nothing but a speed bump. In my commentary on CTV Regina, I wrote, Ottawa, right now, the last few weeks, has got the best defense in the CFL, I believe. That Fernandez at the middle linebacker spot is just an absolute load, and they're starting to know the game. And you take a look at their tilt a couple of weeks ago in Edmonton. They stopped, one of the best offenses and the quarterback with the best stats in the league, pretty much. And then they got into a defensive struggle last week. So I think this is not a gimme by any way, shape, or form, and it'll be a defensive slugfest, I believe. And now Joe Paopao,
calling plays.
I used to call him Joe Peo, and I didn't know how to say his name.
Throwing Samoan.
The throwing Samoan this is the first game when he gets to call the plays by himself. It was so ludicrous that a veteran coach like Rick Campbell would decide just before training camp that they'd call offensive plays by committee. That has never worked in the history of football. Go to Pee Wee football, it won't work, and I couldn't believe they're doing that.
Even we don't do that.
Even the Mustangs don't do that.
No, we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when they say calling plays by committee, by the way, on offense or defense, is just a way of not pointing the finger at anybody.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not everybody, but it's just you can't find who's to blame. I think the coaches get together. That's what I think.
Anyway, now the thing that's interesting is now that Joe Paopao is fully calling the plays, has been handed to him a few days ago, he's probably going to throw a few things that the Rough Riders haven't seen, at the defense, because he's going to have full control. So they may see some things that they haven't really studied on video.
Does Dominic Davis scare either one of you guys? Because I look at his skills. He's nimble. He's got a great arm. I don't know how well he sees the field. He's gotten, to me, not better, but worse as the season's gone along.
Quarterbacking, there's a lot of psychological to quarterbacking, right? And you're right, he's got the physical tools, but he threw for 354 yards and 3 touchdowns on, June 20th in Ottawa against Saskatchewan. So he's probably coming into Mosaic feeling pretty good for a change. Been pretty flat of late, but so you never really know how this is going to, turn out tomorrow night.
What do you
It's
think,
not a
Kim?
gimme.
I'm a little more optimistic than Don. I do think the Riders are going to win, but I don't, for the people that think that they're going to blow them out, I can't imagine what could possibly make you think that. I mean, maybe it'll happen, but I'm not predicting that. I think it's going to be a good football game. I kind of see this being like a 27-23 or a 24-20 type of game. I don't think either offense is good enough that they're going to put up, real big numbers, because you're talking about two pretty good defenses. Like, I agree with Don. I think Ottawa's got a real good defense. So I don't see the Riders putting up that 30 plus, but you never know. I mean, it's every week is a new chapter. I think it's going to be a good competitive football game, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, actually.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.